27 left out of a 53 card deck, which is above average. I'll take above average. Above average, sweet. Uh, don't keep that in there. I don't want a soundbite of me saying that. Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bat. And today I wanted to briefly talk about this list, although we're not going to play it. I will try to save an hour of your time. This is the CYB Zen list. This is actually I recently updated. The reason you see the two Tiger Eye and the two Warmongers is because Tina's using the Warmongers at least, and I still haven't bought the third Tiger's Eye. But this deck actually performed like pretty shockingly well again in my armory. I went 3-1. Only lost to Prism in the finals, which I don't think this deck has like a great matchup into Prism, just in general, because we don't have needles, obviously. But like pretty reasonable, honestly. And then we just have this like weird react package on the side. So I think this deck actually kind of has legs, potentially. But again, this is not like a psyop or anything. Like I think this deck is actually like semi-solid if your opponents are not expecting it. But yeah, I did want to kind of talk about my normal Zen list today. So this is what I'm preparing for the upcoming Dio meta, which is vastly approaching. And we have here kind of like the normal 60. Again, I'm trying out the Tiger's Eye Reflex. I think are good. Pouncing Key also I think is going to make the blue slot just because it's a blue 3 block with combo that also has conditional Gogan. So I want to try that out. Also gives us kind of like we have the Tiger Eye Reflexes for the potential to turn this into like a 2-card Transcend, which is quite solid. So I want to try that out. For the sideboard, we have some kind of spicy inclusions. I want to try Talisman of Creation against potential CYB decks, so that's mostly like Enigma or like slower decks like Betsy that you like don't see very often. Like most of them are just generally on CYB. We also have 2 Erase Fates for Dio. The Flickflacks are also for Dio, just for covering good breakpoints. And then Warmongers for the Rune Blades that are running around. And then 83 for Kano, but Kano's not real, so maybe we cut that at some point. But anyways, yeah, this is kind of the list I'm working with. Again, I think I might make some tweaks before the upcoming ProQuest. Again, I think we still got a couple weeks, maybe 1 or 2 weeks so left for ProQuest. So I'm going to try to get my in eventually. But yeah, this is what I'm working with, so we'll just go ahead and get the games. And these games, I actually wanted to focus on needle usage because that was the commonly kind of recurring question, is like when to use needles, when to attack with needles, and like what the tells for like when you can use needles are. So I'm going to try to focus on needles for these upcoming games. But yeah, with that, we'll go ahead and get into the games. All right, we have an Aurora. Generally go no AB into Aurora. Then do we want these erase faces? I think we probably do. I do like Flickflacks into Aurora. No CNCs is fine. And then we can cut like the Bittering as well. We can go to 1 Bittering, or we can go up to Waxon. I think that's probably fine. Let's run it like this and see how it goes. I do generally like kind of like the more, like I don't generally like CNC very much in Aurora because most of them are on Crown anyways, which you see here exactly. So I do like running a little bit more defensive package over like the aggressive kind of like push CNC package. So we do have a Transcend card turn 1, which is quite good for us. Let's see how much they commit here. Okay, looks like they're undoing. Sure. Current funnel is fine. I think we'll start by blocking with Mauling Key because Hunterwood's Aspect is kind of good just in and of itself. All right, Sigil Solace is fine. Aurora is also fine. Sure, that seems probably better than making a rune chant, right? Although I guess they might have been able to do that anyway. Well, they might not have the resources. Okay, makes sense. So we don't find our blue, which is fine. What are we doing here? We are ultimately want to Arsenal to stir the pot, so we can send 4 into. So here's a good question of whether or not we want to use Needle. I think it's a little bit too early to use Needle, especially when we don't know what's going on over there. So I'm going to just send 4 here. We could use Needle to force them off a card and keep them off a 5-card hand, but I don't know how high value that is generally. Again, Needles do get better as we get into lower life totals. Although notably they are starting at 42, so I don't feel super amazing giving Needles here, especially when we don't have like a crazy follow-up or anything. But we do get the Stir the Pot in Arsenal, which is pretty solid. And we find our second Transcend, which is also quite good. This means we can also potentially defensively Transcend, which is probably going to be quite solid here. Yeah, I don't even think I'm going to think about it too hard. I think I'm just double Transcending. So we will... Is it worth it, though? How much is this actually getting? Yeah, maybe it's still worth it. Also, we should, we should Rising Sun, then do this. I can see arguments for not popping here, but I think it's generally worth it if you have the opportunity to. We also find a backup grain. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. So we'll bottom the Winds of Eternity here. We'll gain a resource, and then I think we will just 12 petal here. It's going to negate most of their Arc Lightning turn, and we can like block out and Arsenal the grain that tips the scale. It's a little aggressive. Okay, and they do have the Flicker Wisp, which is definitely scary. So now all their stuff is coming in for 2. All right, we see an E-Strike. And again, we're incentivized to actually try to block out during Zen State, if we can. So I'm going to block 4 here, effectively. Pass. We're going to save our Pouncing Paws for, like, an actual relevant breakpoint, as opposed to, like, just blocking randomly on an E-Strike. Like, we want to save Pouncing Paws ideally for the, ideally for, like, Snatch or something more threatening. All right. So take another 3 here, or 2 here, effectively. So he did block a decent amount of damage this turn. What was that, like 5 damage? And then we still have another turn to block, potentially. Yeah, I don't think this is terrible. Although, like, the Flicker Wisp was kind of unfortunate. Does mean they're able to get over a little bit. So here, I think we're just pitching to Zen. We can get... Probably just want, like, a random 0 cost so we can Arsenal the Grain Tips of Scale. So we can either get Pouncing Key or Hunter Winds. Or Aspect Tiger Body is actually fine. Yeah, we can get Aspect Tiger Body. Seems good. Again, our Zen State wasn't crazy there. So hopefully it's good enough and they don't just like block out through the Zen State. Like I want to obviously try to force them on cards if I can. Alright, they are blocking with Crown, which I'm actually kind of fine to see out of the way, although we don't have our CNCs boarded, which is a little unfortunate. We'll just send Aspect for 3. If we wanted to get greedy, we probably could have gotten away with another Tiger Swipe, but that would have to hit, so they could theoretically block that out. I don't know. Okay, Citadel Suffering is fine, covers the 3. Sure. And I think we're just passing back here. We have to do 3 cards through Zen State, which I think I'm okay with. Okay, and we have an interesting one. Triple 100 wins was not what I was expecting, but I'm kind of used to drawing this hand, surprisingly. Let's go ahead and just take the 3 here. They have CLB or something, I don't really care. Citadel Solace is fine. So this might look like a bad spot, like we're down 9 life, but they have used a decent chunk of their armor. So that's at least something going for us. The awkward thing about Breed Anger here is that we have to play one of the 100 wins before the, like, we're losing out on, like, 1 damage, effectively, if we play the Breed Anger out. Oh, we don't actually have to play the Breed Anger out. Maybe this is actually fine. Just end on a Winds of Eternity. That seems okay. At least it's funny. Again, I'm still trying to be a little bit conservative with my needles. Like, I don't want to use them when we're at this high light totals. It gives them a lot of kind of control over the game. Oh, I did forget about the tiger. Shit. I should have tigered way earlier. That's a fun. But we can still get tiger swipe, so it's basically the same damage. Right, because we just don't get the Winds of Eternity on hit, which arguably we don't really want anyways. Like shuffling at a bunch of 2 blocks against Aurora is not necessarily the craziest thing in the world. So this is basically the same amount of damage. It's just we're leaving Winds of Eternity in our deck. Okay, they still got a 5-card hand. We got a 5-card hand. Everyone's got a 5-card hand. All right, they got Flittering. I am kind of also double Tiger Eye with Chase Steel is kind of funny. We can block with this, assuming it's CLV. It's pretty likely to be CLV. Also, are they fat decking us? Interesting. Let's go block 4. Seems semi-reasonable. Although, like, blocking the Pouncing Paws there seems a little suspect. I don't know. It's probably the correct block is like 3 or something. Or maybe even no block. Yeah, we're getting punished for this. So we'll go ahead. Now I kind of want to use Traverse because we're in this position, which I put myself in. Yeah, I guess I will. Go Flittering in hand. We had Chi. It's a weird game. I shouldn't have blocked with the Pouncing Paws, by the way. I don't think you'd play around CLV in this position. Or especially not playing around it now. I do think in general it's correct to try to block as early as possible against Aurora when they have CLV. Just because you get a lot of like value by doing that. All right, we're going to go ahead and start with our Chase the Tail. And then we're going to do another Chase the Tail. I think this is actually a good opportunity to use needles. We're at turn 4, which is approximately when I like to use them. Again, I don't really have like a hard and fast rule, but they're in a position now where like taking them off the tempo might be really good for us. All right, Sigil of Suffering is fine. They have CLV to back it up. No, they do not. Okay, that's good for us. Do another Tiger. Then we can get another Chase the Tail here. Oh wait, whoops, sorry. We get another Chase the Tail. Played out. We also have the option of Breed Anger here, but I'm fine to use one needle. Like one needle against Aurora is quite good. Just because it's free 2 damage and we get to sit on our arsenal. And we can put them down to effectively 12, although they're probably going to give us a block here. Or not. Okay. See, this is a really good needle because we're getting in free 2 damage. So I'm very happy with this. And we're at a 13-point life lead, although they do have a little bit of armor left, so not really, but kind of. All right, here we see Entwined Lightning. So they didn't have CLV last turn because they would have played it out with the Sigil of Suffering, so we don't need to play around it this turn unless they're just like huffing some mad gas over there. All right, coming in for 4. Again, we're not worried about CLV. And then looks like another 4 into potential Lightning Press. I'm very okay with this. Press me. Nope. No press. Could be like a blink. Or nothing. Okay, I'm totally fine with this. So on our turn, I think this is an opportunity to pop the Pouncing Paws because we don't have much going on anyways. So we'll start with the Tiger, and then we want to play out the Breed Anger from Arsenal first, ideally. Just hide as much information about our hand as possible. And then we can debate whether we want to needle versus levels. I made some questionable decisions this game, for sure. I think that Pouncing Paws obviously was one of the more questionable decisions. The arc lightning flicker. Well, the arc lightning I think was fine-ish, but maybe a little bit too early. They did have a 5-card hand with arc lightning though, so I don't know. That seemed maybe fine to me. But yeah, I think we're doing like okay so far. Although there's definitely a little bit of sloppy play here. I feel like. So we can breed anger here. We've already used our Shuko trigger, so we can max represent 4. So here's a question of whether or not we use needles. So if we use the needle here, we can force them off 2 cards, or like we can presumably force them off 2 cards. Which I think this is actually probably the right opportunity to use a needle. Like we can take them down to 2. They have 4-card hand, which is pretty unlikely to be able to represent 17. Okay, and it looks like they got a 2 block as well, which is quite unfortunate for them. So yeah, from this position, I think we're going to sit on our 5th card, Arsenal levels, and then we found a hand of all 3 blocks, which is very, very solid. Looks like they have a Starfall as well, making embodiment. So I think this is probably not a great position for them. Let's go ahead and I think double blocking is fine. This hand's kind of weak, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I think the double block here is fine. Fuck with our Tiger Eye. I don't think the Tiger's going to matter too much next turn. Okay, so we do have a Tiger, but it's not super relevant. I guess we'll start. So this is an opportunity where I think the game is going to end in like the next 2 turns. So I'm looking to force them off cards here because they pretty much have to give me blocks here. Although it looks like they're not respecting the needles, which is very interesting. Yeah, from our opponent, this doesn't seem like a great line just because, you know, having 2 needles is quite rough. Although they might just not have the blocks for it, in which case they're probably going to die to this. Like if their hand is like 3 or 4 instants, they probably die. But this is just representing a lot of damage, and 20-point life lead against Aurora is quite solid. Although I don't know if they've like bricked particularly hard, or maybe they're expecting CYB Zen and got bamboozled or something. Maybe I'm like a household name at this point. I don't know. Okay, looks like blocking 5 is fine. Sure. That might also explain the fat decking? Question mark? I don't know. All right, Arc Lightning is fine. We've got enough light total to work with. Although Flicker Wisp is a little bit annoying. Sure. What's the play here? Blue. Okay, so dealing like another 2, 4. Sure. Decent amount. So we can go to 7 pretty safely, or I guess it would be 5 pretty safely. I'm not really worried about 5, but like we don't have the kill with this hand, I guess is the problem. So I think I'm just going to try to YOLO off Harmony and see what we hit. What's our odds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15, no combo cards in here, combo cards in Banish, none. Why is there 7 Tigers in my Banish? So 15, so rough, like if we have 60, or we have 30 combo cards in a 60 card deck, we have roughly below average chances of hitting, but again, I think that we still need to try to go for something here. Hanging Chi is fine. We'll just do Needle, Needle, Arsenal, Wax On. The Wax On here is kind of killing a little bit of our tempo, but if we can, like, they have to give us their whole hand here, basically. It looks like they will use Somersault to do so. We could also save a Needle here if we want and just send 5. It's kind of reasonable because we're forcing them off 2 cards, and it's very rare that they're going to be able to kill me on 1 card. So we're basically setting us up for a next turn where like we can potentially kill them with a 5-card hand, although the Wax On is not necessarily conducive to that. Yeah, but Aurora on a 1-card hand, I'm not super scared of. Again, we can force the last card out of them, but I don't think it's necessary. All right, and they're just going to grass Starfall, presumably, which is fine. Take it, and then we have like an insane next turn. So I think we're good from this position. Cool. So we win Chakra, and then we'll pass over, we'll target, doesn't matter. The win Chakra resolve, see what's left in our deck. Still have a Key Unleash. Yeah, that fits the curve, sure. Or it doesn't, but it's fine. So, yeah, Key Unleash was not to get there, but we'll still rock with it anyways. What was the actual get? Maybe like a Mauling Key or something? I still think this kills, question mark? Yeah, it still kills. They don't have any armor, yeah. So I think there was a better target there, but I think we're still fine. Because this is coming in for 3, this will come in for 7, so they have to have a 4 block in hand, which they've already used 2 Sigil Suffering, so they need to have exactly 1 more Sigil Suffering, but giving us 2 2-blocks here is also not great for them. So it looks like we just barely get there. It looks like we had a blink in hand. So I think we had some kind of questionable misplays, but again, what I was trying to focus on more so than like the game itself was the needle usage, which I think was actually very good this game. Yeah, so our needle usage was actually quite good that game, even though the gameplay was a little bit sloppy. Yeah, but anyways, I'm going to do another game with needles, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay, so this is a Levia, which is also kind of a needles matchup. We want to go second to Levia just so we can not give them free graveyard. And into Levia, I think I do like Flick Flax over Beta Rings, and then Race Face doesn't do much, I don't think, right? Doesn't work on Blood Debt or anything. Could run Talisman Creation, that seems a little cute. Yeah, let's just run it as is and see how it goes. Again, this is a matchup where, depending on their build, they can either kind of go, either you want needles or you don't want needles. But I think in general, you want needles against Levia, since the games typically go to like turn 5. So we can guarantee keep a blue in hand. Would take 1. Is that worth it? I think that's probably worth it. 1 damage to guarantee that we transcend is probably probably fine. Like we could block with it, but again, like there's a risk we draw into like 3 reds, and I don't really want to take that if I don't have to. Alright. So it looks like we get a card in their graveyard. It's pretty good. Okay. I didn't account for the other possibility where we draw 3 Transcend cards, or draw 2 additional Transcend cards, but maybe that's okay. So we'll start with 100 wins. I guess this is why we had the red Key Unleashed in our deck. Kind of use up some of these resources. What do we want in Arsenal? It's probably not drop. It's between the Path Well Traveled and the Stir the Pot. I can see arguments for both. Important thing to note here is that I'm not going to needle at all for quite a while, because Levia is very incentivized to block, especially in the early game, because they want to set up their graveyard for Blood Debt. So again, I'm not looking to needle Levia until I know that I can get good value out of the needles, like where I can force them to make bat blocks. Alright, so drop in the ocean, we'll gain a resource, and then activate Zen. Get our Key Unleashed. We can pre-transcend one of these if we want to. And just put it in the deck. I think I want Stir the Pot and Arsenal in that case, right? Just because it's unconditional transcend in case they have like a disruption effect. We don't want to gain a resource here so that we can just pitch it to the Key Unleashed. Funny thing enough, this also like plays around Flashback. Kind of. Not really, but a little bit. But it looks like they're probably not going to use it here, and then we'll just finish with Key Unleash for 7. So we did have like 2 mana floating there, but again, against Levia, we do not want to use needles at all into them if we can help it, especially this early. Okay, we find another Transcend card, so I'm glad I kept the Stir the Pot, although we are facing down a Pulping. So we could Flick Flack this, but I'd almost rather save it for the next Pulping if they have one. And they're discarding a Boneyard Marauder, which is fine. So this is 6 damage. I think we're fine to take 6 damage. I don't think we're sweating. Life totals are still pretty even. Both players have both fridge. Dread Screamer this early is also, I think, probably good for me, and they're setting up a blue Dread Screamer in graveyard, which is not great. So I think we're fine with this as well. Again, this is like a 10 damage turn, so I'm not scared yet, although it could get worse if they have like a Shadow Pete or something. Oh, yep, thinking I do. Sure. Alright, Dread Screamer, Vanishing, sounds good. Might have like a Growl or something. In which case it's like a 16 damage turn off 5 cards is like fine. It's like on rate, kind of. Sure. Growling Grub for 6 is fine. We'll say no blocks. Let me do a quick transcend or a quick combo count. So we have 4 in graveyard, we have 1 in hand, so it's 5 out of the deck, which means we have 25 left in the deck, which is a below average chance of Harmony hitting. But we do have 2 Chi on the bottom as well. So that's actually slightly above average because we haven't stirred the pot yet. So let's go fishing. And we hit because I never miss. Okay, and then we'll do. I guess we do want to stir the pot because we can shuffle back this 2 Chi and have a higher chance of just drawing into a random Chi. Seems reasonable to me. And then we want to be arsenaling this Rising Sun Setting Moon, ideally. So maybe we just play, or we want to be arsenaling this Flick Flack, ideally. So maybe we're supposed to just play this Rising Sun Setting Moon now. We had Chase the Tail. Ooh, that's interesting. So we have 2 floating. We can get an aspect. Oh, yeah. This is really good. So we'll go ahead and get our aspect. We have 2 floating for the chase plus the spinning. We get aspect, and then we just send it all in. They can flashback this, but they're always going to run into the risk of Flick Flack. And then once we play out this Tiger, we can basically guarantee the value on chase. Like, flashback is not going to impact this at all. It's probably actually safe to play out the 100 wins after this if we want to. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and play it out now. Again, flashback basically does nothing here. Play out the Tiger, or play out the aspect Tiger body. And this is a really good Harmony turn. We're getting basically +8 or +9 value off Harmony. It's pretty broken. Spinning, because we're getting 5 basically, plus the 4 from the other combo. Or no, sorry. Maybe I'm counting that wrong. Maybe it's 8. Because we played 3 other combo cards. Yeah, maybe it's 8 value. Whatever. Still crazy. 0 card, 8 value. Send in the crouching. Then we get a nice little Flick Flack and Arsenal for a potential Blood Rush turn, which I'm very excited about. Again, we're still being super safe with needles here. Ooh, we get to stuff another pulping. That's really good. It does not matter what you put on top here, my friend. I'm so sorry. So we'll go ahead and block with the Wind Chakra and then move to reactions, Flick Flack them. Pretty nasty. Pretty gross. End step trigger. Oh, I guess they can flip. Sure. We told the Sensei does nothing against Levia. It's like 5 damage, but it's whatever. What do we want to get here? It's actually like what else are we doing if not Zen stating? Is the question. We already used our Key Unleash, so it's like whatever. Could use our Pouncing Paws and like Needle, but like that seems kind of suspect. Maybe making Zen State's actually like the best thing we can do here. They still don't want to give up needles even like when they're at this position because they still have a lot of fridge. I don't know. Seems kind of bad. Play out the swipe. Maybe we do just make his end state. It'll probably soak up like 5 damage total, which is maybe like fine. Sure. We'll do this now. It's a weird game state. Again, their flush bag also not doing a whole lot here. Sure. We'll pass it back. We'll arsenal our passover, which can maybe have some weird meme value against Levia for like turning off their stuff. It's fine. Tail limb from limb, banishes a call to the grave. Ooh, you're seeing some Levia variants here, which is not fun. Maybe we're a little bit ambitious on the sense of getting 5 value. It looks like it's currently maybe getting 4 at most. Yeah, looks like it's maybe 4 at most. Sure. So we'll take 5 here. Popping the sash is interesting. What do they have in their arsenal? Huh. Why are they doing this? Do they have another action? They do have another action point. So they have a 1 or a 2 cost they can play from arsenal? Okay, so maybe I am right that they're getting 5 value. Sure. Yeah, sure. I don't care. Alright, and to a Hungering Slaughter Beast, which is also fine. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we just kill here. Again, we got 3 value off our Zen state, which is like marginal at best, but it's probably going to be fine here. Do we care about blocking with Traverse? We'll block with Pause just because we're literally probably just going to use it to like bump on the Sacred Art. But yeah, I think it's fine. I'm not going to bother with doing a combo card check for the Harmony. I think we're just going to rip it and see what we get. Better lucky than good, as they say. And we're good. No, sorry, we're both good and lucky. So, we will transcend with the Sacred Art. We have 100 wins also to pair with the Winds of Eternity, which is quite gross. And we can also double transcend and then get to chase the tail. We kind of have a wealth of options here. Sure. I think that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Because we want to be able to pitch to Needles as well. So we'll banish a 6 from their graveyard or whatever. Might turn off a random card. Oh, interesting. They also. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we'll Zen. Chase the tail. Do our chase line. Finish on 100 wins. Or finish. Well, Needle, 100 wins, Winds of Eternity. It should get there. Even if it doesn't fully get there, like, we'll basically run them out of cards from hand, I imagine. Seems fine. And again, we basically have not used Needles up until turn 5, which is kind of what I was trying to elaborate on. Like, I think you still want Needles in the Levia, you just basically cannot use them for the beginning of the game, which I think is kind of hard to wrap your head around a little bit. So now we're forcing them to basically make bad blocks because we're going to come in with another 2 and another 4 or another 5. So this should get the job done because we're going to be saying 2, 2, 2, 5. Yep, so they can break my Needles, but the game is basically over this turn. And yeah, this is what I've been trying to focus on. Again, the gameplay around the Needles has been kind of lackluster, but I've been trying to focus on the actual Needles themselves for this video because I know it's something a lot of people kind of struggle with. So I want to kind of showcase them in different matchups. They have Reckless Swing, which funnily enough deals 1 damage. Good game, by the way. Yeah, but we pretty much just get there. I'll show them the 100 wins to show that they're like even the random hit off the top didn't actually matter all that much if it makes them feel better. But yeah, I think that's just gonna wrap it up for today. Again, I wanted to just showcase kind of like how I use Needles in certain matchups and why I think they're really solid. Again, we played against some good kind of examples of when to use Needles, so hope you all enjoy. Again, if you want me to focus on any other partisan that's maybe kind of confusing or kind of you struggle with, let me know. Happy to talk through like what my thought process is, even if it's not like, absolutely 100% correct. But yeah, hope you all enjoy, and I'll see y'all next time.